And now, ladies and gentlemen, what you've been waiting for. It's time for the good news, the bad news, and definitely the other shit. How do I come up with this? Well, it's not hard, ladies and gentlemen. It's not hard to come up with the good news, the bad news, and the other shit, and I put it last because everybody knows what's up. What's up is that it's bad news and it's the other shit. The question is how best to process, how best to handle the situation. Because it is a bad situation. It's a really bad situation. And let's take a look just to get that part out of the way. Just take a look. One of the cities in Ukraine, Borodyanka. Take a look at the devastation. Bad news and other shit. Human devastation. This is drone footage. This is what is being done to civilians. Wow. And really, when you think about it, war is always carried out against civilian populations. But be aware. Remember, right now, your former President Trump still is openly admiring Putin, putting the GOP into a difficult position. Because it used to be Russia was our enemy until Trump embraced Putin. Now the GOP, well, they have to decide. Do they embrace this?
Wow.
Take a good hard look. Because this is the devastation that is occurring. Wow. Wow.
That is something, man. That is something. You feel for him.
You know, there's a few things that we need to think about. Because one of the things that crossed my mind was, why now? Why now? Why did Putin wait till now to do this? Why didn't he invade when Trump was there? Why now? Well, first of all, I want you to keep in mind, Putin has actually been enjoying a series of consecutive victories. He managed to annex Crimea. No one did shit. He actively intervened in elections all around the world. No one did shit. He actually conspired with Donald Trump to gain him the election, and it happened. It worked. He used social media in ways never seen before, and it worked. Putin has been winning, okay? Everything he has tried of late has worked. He's kept his neighbors out of NATO. It's worked. So whatever you think, it at least has been winning. One of his main supporters, Trump, is actually preparing for a return. So, I ask you, where is Merrick Garland in the Department of Justice? Is there at any point that we actually step in and call Trump the criminal that he is? Does that ever happen? Do we ever step in and call him the criminal that he is? See, my issue is that this is part of the reason that Biden's numbers are so bad. He's failed to take on Trump. He decided he didn't want to be part of going after Trump, holding Trump accountable. He was going to let other folks do that for him. just like he was going to let the states decide how to deal with the pandemic. This is part of Joe Biden's problem. He wants to get along with everybody, and therefore he confronts nobody. This is what he was known for back in the days of segregation, where he was at least enjoyed by black people to a degree because he would speak kindly of us, but his friends were all the segregationists. That's who he sat around drinking and having cigars with, never being hard on them for that. And here he is again today. Non-confrontational Joe. Good old Joe. So Joe does nothing, and that's why Putin decides he can march on Ukraine, because he thinks that Joe will do nothing. In today's world, if you get a congressional subpoena, you can blow it off, because Merrick Garland and the Department of Justice are going to do nothing. Absolutely nothing. You can try to steal the election, and we are going to do absolutely nothing. You had an insurrection where 3,000 people should be in jail. Instead, you have hundreds. Well, this is why we are where we are today. It's Russia, Putin, and Trump against the world, and they don't care. Because for the most part, there are no repercussions for their actions. That's the way they sit today. So we find ourselves dealing with situations. Brittany Griner caught going through customs with vape cartridges.
Why are you laughing?
Because why would you even do that and allow yourself to be a pawn?
I agree.
See, you allow yourself to be a pawn at a time where you should know better. You should really know better.
You know what gets me is when I read the story. The U.S., I believe Department of Justice, issued a warning to those abroad, of course, in Ukraine. Late January, get out in such short terms. Please leave. Obviously, it didn't reach her. So what do you say when somebody says there's a warning to leave, this escalation?
You know, and I get it. I did a little research, Vic, and she has been playing for a Russian team. I guess once again, the money's so bad in the WNBA, you got to have two jobs. So she plays for a Russian team also.
What do they say, Mario? War is hell. If they can use you as a pawn, when does sports go, okay, go ahead, you can go on. You're going to be used. And you can't get away because you're probably one of the tallest athletes, obvious. So you can't kind of hide. So I feel for it, man. I hope everything's okay. I don't want to step on her, but this should be a wake-up lesson for her.
Yes, it should. Saving the worst for last. A global group of black attorneys have now filed a UN complaint for African refugees. As it turns out, more and more stories are being reported on social media along with videos of Africans and people of color being treated differently at the border, being denied access, being told things like, our women first. Sad and heartbreaking.
Yeah.
The group includes Ben Crump, civil rights attorney for the families of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, attorney Jasmine Rand, who represents Trayvon Martin and Michael Brown, Peter Herbert, one of Britain's few non-white judges, Jamaican Member of Parliament C. Anthony Hilton, British solicitor Jacqueline McKenzie, and Carlos Moore, president of the National Bar Association in the United States. They've made an appeal to the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. Commentary. So why do I have to feel this again? Why do I have to feel this again? But even in feeling this, I'm going to step up to the plate because I thought of friends of mine and I know what they would say. What they would say is, Mario, even if amongst us there are those whose hearts are filled with evil and despair, even if amongst us there are those who are poisoned by racism and bigotry, even if you have to see those people over and over and over again, know that they are not the majority, even if we have to see them. Know that we too have those same types, those same energies within our community. Even if we look beyond them, it still leaves the fact of the tragedy of the people of Ukraine. And so it is easy for me to put aside the inherent ignorance that some are showcasing at this moment and look instead to the wonder of the people who now are being sensitized to the plight of refugees. It may have taken a look at Ukraine, but now we have to deal, and indeed we will look at the plight of refugees worldwide. Because that is a word, unfortunately, that is now becoming part of the vocabulary of everyone. Refugee. Dealing with refugees. Making room for refugees here in the United States and making room for refugees abroad. So even that bigotry and racism that we see at the borders expressed by some, we know that the need to nurture and love those who find themselves out and in the cold remains. And we choose to take on this as our focus and our struggle because we think of God, and we think of the children.